Driver's, I think he's around 800 yards receiving this year. T.O.'s already over 1,000. It's not which is the better receiver, Skip wants me to point out. It's which receiver will have a bigger game tonight.
Okay, let me explain, Jay. If Charles Woodson can go, I say Donald Driver will definitely have the better game because Woodson and Al Harris are physical and quick enough to do something that every team should have been doing all year to Terrell Owens and that a lot of teams used to do to Terrell Owens, and that is basically hit him in the mouth on the first play. Get physical with him, bump and grind him, blast him on those little crossing routes he runs, especially early in the game, because trust me, you can intimidate Team Obliterator. You can take him psychologically out of the game because he will shrink under big contact. So Donald Driver is the flip side. I'm not saying Donald Driver is anywhere near as big or as fast as Terrell Owens, but he is much tougher. He will go over the middle, he'll catch the wilder throws from Brett Favre, and he will make the better clutch catch than Terrell Owens because he has better hands than Terrell Owens.
Well, thank you for helping me with this argument by talking about how big and fast and physical Terrell Owens is. That's how he's going to be.
I call him Terrell because he hates that.
Well, I call him T-Onion when I'm playing Madden on NBA on NFL because he makes the opponent cry. T-Onion. That's what we're going to talk about.
T-Onion? I like that.
T-Onion.
Very good.
Clever.
That's what we're going to call it, T.O. Now, I really like Donald Driver, don't get me wrong. He's very good at yards after the catch, making guys miss. But Brett Favre has to spread the ball out. He has Jones, he has Jennings. And Terrence Newman is going to shadow him tonight, so watch for that as well.
Okay.
But I have to take T.O. because it's a big stage. Yes, you have Witten. Yes, you have Creighton. But Romo's going to be looking for T.O. on the big stage.
He will.
And T.O. likes the big stage, and he's going to shine when the lights are brightest.
All right. I wonder if T.O. knows that the NFL Network is only in about a third of the nation's homes. That might affect the way he plays tonight. It's not like a true Sunday night or Monday night game.
But he's the kind of guy that'll make sure that he pays for people to watch the game tonight.
Yeah. Well,
just remember, this isn't Madden football.
Well, your dream segment continues because I believe it was just yesterday that Skip Bayless was singing the praises of LeBron James' supporting cast. This is a great supporting cast, said Skip. Well, that great supporting cast last night, with LeBron in the lineup, trailed at by 5 at the half. They lost by 35 because LeBron couldn't go in the second half with that injured finger. So, Skip, does this prove LeBron's value to the Cavaliers?
I have talked so much about this guy. I'm going to let my friend Jalen start this off just so I can react to whatever idiotic statements Jalen made.
Well, in other words, he has no answer.
Let's talk about what a superstar is. A superstar makes role players better. LeBron James is a legitimate superstar. Michael Jordan is a legitimate superstar. But also he has Scottie Pippen, who we underrate, but he's also one of the top 50 players of all time.
Time out. Now, are we putting LeBron in the Michael Jordan
Not
sense?
at all. We're just talking about being a superstar. The point is this. LeBron James wasn't out there last night, and without the superstar, you saw what Ilgauskas did. You saw what Drew Gooden did. You saw the shots Sasha Pavlovich knocked down. They were non-existent. They need LeBron James on the floor, but all great teams need their best player, especially if he's a superstar. So if he's out of the lineup, expect the Cleveland Cavaliers to struggle.
Jalen, let me educate you on this. The Cleveland Cavaliers were playing a back-to-back on the road against a team, a rival, that was primed to reestablish its dominance after that disaster in the playoffs last year. Am I right about that?
The disaster when LeBron James had 48 points?
Okay, let's keep going here. Okay. I still say that LeBron...
You'd make a great attorney, Skip.
I still say LeBron James is overrated compared to Michael Jordan and that his supporting cast is dramatically underrated, but that supporting cast right now is without Larry Hughes, Anderson Varejao, Danielle Marshall. These are very good players, Jay.
But not all stars. Not all stars.
Okay, so last night it was big advantage Detroit with or without LeBron James. This was going to get away from Cleveland in the second half. And who's to say, my Skip Heresy of the day, that those teammates that were left weren't deflated, that their superstar, their MVP, their Michael Jordan refused to play in the second half when he had a little finger injury.
That is a wild conspiracy.
Wait, that's not a Skip. Wait a second.
I've had a jam finger. I've had a broken hand. Those things hurt. Trust
Minor
me.
injury on non-shooting
Now, we're not going to talk about his turtleneck
Suck
with his
it up,
blazer.
superstar.
Those
Suck it up.
Those hurt.
I'm serious. Those teammates are looking around. They said after the game, a couple of them said, we were really surprised LeBron didn't go in this. Drew Gooden said, I looked around and I thought, Wait a minute, LeBron's not out here. Wonder why, Jay?
So they were tired and then they were mad because he wasn't on the floor.
Absolutely.
Oh, that makes perfect
Not at
sense,
all.
Skip.
Not at
Really,
all.
seriously, that makes
Not at
perfect
all.
sense.
Well, I think there's
No
a little
way.
truth to this, Jay.
No
I think there's zero truth to it.
At least a little. At least a little truth.
I don't know. In your mind, I think there's a lot of truth to it.
Jay, did you really think your Cavaliers were going to win this game?
I thought that'd be much
And
closer.
you're talking
if
about
LeBron played
back-to-backs
whole
in the
game.
NBA? All NBA teams play back-to-backs.
I
That's
don't
not
care.
an
Look at
excuse.
what happens.
He
Look
made
at the
it-
record.
He makes it seem like they went into 12 overtime.
Okay, but wait a second. Cleveland's
It was
coming
a
off.
6-point game. It was a 6-point game.
They were coming off a very emotional, somewhat physical game at home against the new Boston Celtics, right? How are you going to get back up for another
All
one?
I know is they played him to within 5 when he was in the game. They were blown out by 30 when he was not in
LeBron
the
was
game.
hungry and he wanted his piece of pizza.
Yeah, I understand how
Detroit
that
to
goes.
be there anyway. They're a great team.
All right, let's talk about the Suns. We're trying to figure out, are the Suns a great team? 11-4 after a home loss last night to the Houston Rockets. What are the Suns? What do we make of this? What happened?
The Phoenix Suns are a title or bust team. They're a team that we got so excited about their style of play, running up and down the floor, scoring over 100 points, making people look bad. But they didn't improve their roster this year when you talk about their depth. They only play 7.5 guys. They lost Kurt Thomas, who was the best interior defender. So now when Amari Stoudemire goes out of the game, their biggest guy is Boris Diaw, who's basically been a shell of himself since he got his contract a couple of years ago. And the bottom line is this. I really love the Phoenix Suns and being there last year, but the San Antonio Spurs are a team that plays for the playoffs. The last few seasons, I think the Suns and the Dallas Mavericks were teams that played for the regular season, and it shows when it's winning time.
For once, I cannot top what Jalen Rose just said because I agree with all of your points. Kurt Thomas obviously is not a great player, an all-star, but he was an all-star to the Phoenix Suns last year.
Right.
And they get smaller and smaller, it seems like. And Alondo Tucker, they drafted in the first round. Now they've shifted him to the minor leagues because he couldn't contribute because he's not a three-point shooter.
No, he couldn't contribute because Mike D'Antoni only plays 7 guys. They got some capable guys on that bench.
I think they were looking for somebody new, some new blood.
Right.
Diaw has gone a little south. Barbosa, I just don't trust his makeup. I love his talent, but all of a sudden the onus falls completely on Steve Nash to be the point guard and the scorer all at once.
And Nash, Marion, and Stoudemire are tremendous players, but there's so much pressure over an 82-game period to win 60 games and then perform at a high level in the playoffs. And also, I appreciate the fact that the world gave us a built-in excuse that if Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw hadn't left the bench that we would have won a championship. If that was the case, I have a ring on my finger right now and I look a lot better. But actuality, game 1, Tim Duncan took home court advantage from us.
He did.
Also, the Utah Jazz beat us 3 out of 4, so it's not a foregone conclusion that last year was
That's
the
a
season.
good point. Yeah.
So we have officially concluded that Jalen Rose is not returning to the Phoenix
Well,
Suns.
yeah, I think I heard a swipe at Diaw in there somewhere.
big
I love Boris Diaw. I call
But
him
he's a
3D.
shell of himself,
S'il
you
vous
said.
plaît is what I say when he makes plays, but I can't say that too much this year. That's a French term. Gotta look it up.
There was one play from last night's game that stood out a little bit. Yao Ming set a pick on Steve Nash. Nash clearly not so happy with it. And watch him in the circle here. We know he's a big soccer guy.
Ooh.
Oh,
But the kick there
was that Robert Ory?
at the end.
Wow.
What part of that did you have a problem with?
I had no problem with it. I have a problem with players flopping. I had no problem with it either way. Yao Ming.
Wait a second. That was not. I agree. He flopped sometimes.
Yao Ming.
No, that was a flop. Skip.
Yao Ming was
A
good.
flop. Come on, he got crushed.
That's why he has
by
long hair again. So when he snaps his head back,
Steve
it looks
Nash
dramatic.
Jay, you have lost it today. Seriously.
Steve Nash is tough as nails, but he's a very smart player. That's why he's a 2-time MVP. And he understands the NBA, which a rule they should change, is I can get in front of a big guy. I can get in front of Shaquille O'Neal at half court while he's running. And if he bumps into me, I feel like I've been shot with a gun. It's an offensive foul.
That was the all-time worst moving pick I have ever seen. And again, I'm not overly defending Steve Nash, but he got run over by a 7'6" guy.
He didn't get to the pick. He was running 10 feet away from the pick, and Steve Nash got in his way.
Flop or not, emailers helpless.
He's not near the pick. He's going to set the pick. He's going to set.
That's a total flop.
He's going to set
He
the.
ran his little butt over.
He's going to set the pick. And Steve Nash.
on the flip side of
Steve
this,
Nash kicked Yao Ming. It's interesting that Yao Ming let him get away with that. That's
well,
an
it's interesting if the referees
dynamic.
let Steve Nash get away with it because I wouldn't.
And I saw a play
That should
like
have been
that.
an automatic, quick technical.
But it was kind of a play like that with Raymond Felton earlier in the season, too. Let's get it going, Nash. 2-time.
Okay, so you're saying he's got a little Stockton, a little dirty play in him?
But that's what the great ones